Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep into something pretty crucial today.
Yeah, this one's all about staying ahead of the curve.
Exactly. We're talking about something called Continuous Threat Exposure Management.
Or CTEM for short.
CTEM, right. It's basically Gartner's way of saying, hey, the digital world's a wild place.
Then you got to be ready for anything.
Yeah, seriously, think about it.
Every day there's a new headline about some crazy data breach or hack.
And it can feel kind of overwhelming, to be honest.
For sure, but that's where CTEM comes in. It's not just about reacting to threats.
It's about anticipating them.
And getting ahead of the game.
So instead of being like, oh no, we got hacked, what do we do?
It's more like, we see a potential weakness here.
Let's fix it before anyone even tries to exploit it.
Exactly. It's a total mindset shift.
So how would you explain CTEM to someone who, maybe hasn't heard of it before?
That's a good question. I guess the simplest way to put it is CTEM is all about constantly assessing your digital vulnerabilities.
Okay, vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Meaning,
Any weak points in your systems, your networks, your applications, even things like your cloud services.
so basically anywhere that hackers could potentially sneak in.
Yep, pretty much. CTEM helps you find those weaknesses and figure out how to protect them before the bad guys even know they exist.
That's actually pretty brilliant. It's like having a security guard who's always on patrol looking for anything suspicious.
Exactly. And the best part is, it's not just for big corporations with tons of resources.
Really? So even small businesses or individuals can benefit from this.
Absolutely. In fact, it's probably even more important for smaller organizations because they might not have the same level of security expertise or budget as a giant company.
I see what you mean. It's kind of like leveling the playing field.
Exactly. CTEM gives everyone the tools and the framework they need to stay safe in this crazy digital world.
So Gartner breaks down CTEM into 5 steps.
They do, yeah.
Let's try to unpack those, maybe make them a bit more digestible.
Sure, let's do it.
The first one's called scoping. Sounds kind of vague. What's that all about?
So scoping is basically about figuring out what you need to protect. It's like drawing a map of your digital territory.
Okay, so identifying all the assets, all the systems, the data.
Exactly. And it's not just about your internal stuff. You also need to consider things like third-party services.
Ah, right, because so many businesses rely on those these days.
Yeah, for sure. Think about things like your CRM, your email marketing platform, even your social media accounts.
If there's a vulnerability in one of those, it could potentially expose your data too, right?
Absolutely. So scoping is about understanding that whole ecosystem.
Gotcha. And then step 2 is discovery. What's the difference between that and scoping?
Well, scoping is like taking a wide-angle view of your digital landscape, while discovery is more about zooming in and taking inventory.
So once you know what you need to protect, discovery is about actually identifying all the specific assets and systems.
Exactly. And assessing their risks. It's like taking stock of everything you have and figuring out what's most valuable.
And what's most vulnerable, I guess.
Right. Because not all assets are created equal. Some are way more critical than others.
So that leads us to step 3, which is prioritization, right?
You got it. And this is where things start to get really strategic, because you can't protect everything with the same level of intensity.
True, that would be insane.
So you got to figure out which threats are most likely to happen.
And which ones would have the biggest impact if they did happen.
Exactly. It's about allocating your resources wisely.
So if you're a small business with limited resources, you probably don't need to worry about nation-state hackers trying to steal your top secret recipes.
Probably not, no. But you might want to focus on things like ransomware attacks, which are becoming increasingly common.
Good point. So we've scoped out our assets, we've discovered what we have, we've prioritized our threats.
Sounds like we're ready for step 4,
Wait,
validation.
So this is where we get to see if our plan actually works.
Exactly. It's time to put your defenses to the test.
How do you do that? Like hire a hacker to try and break in?
Well, sort of. There's something called penetration testing. It's where ethical hackers try to find vulnerabilities in your systems.
So they're basically playing the role of the bad guys.
Yeah, but with your permission, of course. And the goal is to find weaknesses before the real bad guys do.
I've heard some pretty crazy stories about penetration testing. Like sometimes they find the simplest things.
Oh, absolutely, like a weak password or a misconfigured server.
Things that you'd never think of.
And that's the beauty of it. It helps you catch those small oversights that could have huge consequences.
So after validation, we move on to the final step, which is mobilization.
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road.
So we're taking all the insights we've gathered and actually putting them into action.
Exactly. This is where you develop your incident response plan.
So if something does happen, you know exactly what to do.
And it's not just about having a plan. It's about training your team, making sure everyone knows their role.
And building a culture of security awareness.
Yes. Because security isn't just the IT department's responsibility, it's everyone's responsibility.
So CTEM is really about a holistic approach to security.
100%. It's about technology, processes, and people.
It sounds like a lot of work,
Yeah.
but I guess it's worth it in the end.
Oh, absolutely. The peace of mind you get from knowing you're doing everything you can to protect your data is priceless.
Especially in today's world.
And it's not just about peace of mind, it can also give you a competitive advantage.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. If you're a business and you can demonstrate to your customers that you're taking security seriously, they're more likely to trust you with their data.
That makes sense, like a seal of approval.
Exactly. And it can also help you attract investors and partners.
Because they know you're not going to be the next big data breach headline.
Right. So CTEM is good for business. It's good for your peace of mind.
It's good for everyone, really.
Pretty much.
Okay, so before we wrap up, any other best practices we should keep in mind?
Sure. One thing I always emphasize is that CTEM is not a one-time thing.
It's an ongoing process.
Exactly. The threat landscape is constantly evolving, so you need to be constantly adapting.
So it's not like you just do CTEM once and then you're good to go forever?
Definitely not. You need
Yeah.
to make it a part of your regular security routine.
Got it. Anything else?
Don't try to do everything at once.
Start small, focus on the most critical areas.
Exactly. And build from there.
Okay, that's great advice. So to sum it all up, CTEM is a proactive approach to cybersecurity that helps you stay ahead of the curve.
It's about constantly assessing your vulnerabilities, prioritizing your threats, and putting your defenses to the test.
And it's not just for big corporations. It's something that everyone, from small businesses to individuals, can benefit from.
It's about taking control of your digital security and protecting what matters most.
Awesome. Well, that was a super informative deep dive.
Glad you found it helpful.
Now, here's something to think about as you go about your day. If you could implement just one CTEM principle right now, what would it be?
What would have the biggest impact on your digital life?
Is it finally enabling multi-factor authentication on your accounts?
Or maybe taking a closer look at the third-party apps you're using.
That's something to ponder.
It is.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back next time with another fascinating topic. Until then, stay curious, stay safe out there.
Stay secure.
See you next time.